Justin Ellis here with complegends.com, and we're going to bring to you today 22.3 of the Fittest Experience. You can catch us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and we always love to hear some feedback. But in today's episode, of course, we're going to see our obvious overreactions for this workout, are diving deep into it, which I think this one's going to get pretty deep, and then also the predictions of what the outcomes potentially look like through the divisions and through the women and men. So, well, with no further ado, let's go ahead and dive into what this looks like. Here is your workout 22.3, and it is 4 time of 34, 30, 26, 22, 18, 14, 10, 6 of calorie row and box jump overs. So we've got another couplet here for Metcon. We've had the couplet with the quick sprint of 21:59, very normal numbers there that we see in CrossFit. And then we had the lift, which again is usually a test within any competition of CrossFit. The numbers are not as familiar, at least written down, but the workout is very familiar. It is a descending order of a couplet. Even though the numbers aren't quite that, say 27, 21 or 27, 24, 21. It's very similar. I think the strategy is going to be very similar. So obvious overreactions, to dive right into it. I think you should treat this workout like it's your first date. You just met that guy or girl or that special somebody. You need a slower start than you think, okay? If this is the one, right? That this is going to be the one. This is going to be the workout. This is going to be the results that you're looking for. Start slower than you think. Most people, in any workout, you could say that. But I think in these long endurance workouts, you need to have a good set pace in the beginning so that you can maintain it longer. The 21:59, not so much. You don't have that kind of time. In this case, you will have some of that time. So, first date mentality. Number 2 obvious overreaction is switch hitter. And what I mean by that is grip changes and speed changes on the rower specifically. So I don't know if this one's as obvious, but if you've ever been on a rower for a long amount of time, and look, you're not going to be on the rower extreme amount of time here. 34, 30, 26, 22, 18. Those are all pretty good number of calories, but if you were to say test these for like max time, then a lot of these are around a minute, maybe a little over a minute. Now, of course, we're not shooting for that, but early on, you could be on the rower for over 2 minutes, and there's kind of the mental game. And so I think you've got to think a little bit like, I like to switch over under sometimes on the grip, and also to get my mind right, especially when I'm dying. But the good thing about this one is that when you're dying the most in this workout, the numbers are pretty low. But still, I may have to go 5 hard pulls and then 5 moderate pulls. So there's the change of speed. And if for some reason, because you've already done 21:59, the change of grip, you could flip over the hands back and forth. I think this tip's a little underwhelming, but it could help some individuals. Obvious overreaction number 3. This is going to be in reference to the box side-to-side shuffle. If you're going to compete in this workout, you got to go from that side-to-side kind of mount of the box. Not facing to where when you jump on the box and then over, you're facing the opposite direction. Now you have to take that step to turn around and then gear up to jump back over. You're going to burn too much time. And we already know there's going to be a lot of time spent on the rower. So side-to-side shuffle this one so that you can get a little speed. Even if you're not rebounding, that still takes out that extra step each time. And there's 160 reps total. And you're going to see that in the when we dive into this, what that's going to mean. So I think that helps. Those are 3 kind of obvious overreactions. I think, like I said, most people are going to look to side shuffle if possible. Big workouts, I think a lot of coaches are going to look at like, hey, set the tone here. Don't sprint it right out the gate. Look to sprint it at the end. So that takes us into diving a little deeper in this one. So if you're going to stick around, let's do it. Let's dive in. So I kind of broke this into what kind of calories can you put towards it in a minute. And I think your elite rowers over the course of this are going to be shooting close to 20 calories a minute. Now, this is on a guy's side, and on the women's side, I think you're going to be looking at a little bit more like a 16 to 17 calories per minute. And I'm not saying in the first 34. I'm not talking about even the first 30. I'm talking about the duration of this thing. There's going to be some scores potentially that are going to be close to that 20 for guys and about 16 to 17 for girls. I think the moderate, the confident rower will be settling around 15 a minute for the guys, and ladies somewhere probably around that 12 to 13. And then I think you can still put up a pretty competitive score and target under 20 minutes, and we'll see why that's important here in just a moment. Looking at the leaderboard, I know it's still early, but 12 calories a minute. And I think guys and girls both can attack this and shoot for that 20 or less scoring. Now, we'll dive in and see if that's going to be good enough or not, but that might be the goal. So if you break those numbers down, again, there's 160 reps of box jumps, 160 reps of calories. If you do that 12, let's see. If you do the 12-minute pace, 12 calories a minute, you're getting about 13 minutes and 10 seconds of rowing, okay? Well, how are you going to get that under 20 minutes, you say? So box jumps, too, if you're saying 3 seconds per rep, which that's kind of the initial reaction that I always put on a movement. Now, if you're able to side shuffle this, I think you're more like 2 seconds per rep. Now, can we maintain that? And also, don't get me wrong, I think there's some people who are going to be burning at like 1.5, maybe even under 2 seconds a rep early on, or maybe even towards the end, right? So I'm again trying to take an average here and the occasional 3 to 5 second, break or transition. So with that being said, if you go 3 seconds a rep, which I think is a little more casual, and it sounds very short, but count out 3 seconds from side to side. That's 8 minutes worth of box jumping, and that's active box jumping. Okay. If you go at the 2 seconds, you're all the way down to 5 minutes and 35 seconds. So that's pretty significant, just 1 second per rep, but it's 160 reps. This is an endurance long workout. If we can meet in the middle somewhere, even spending about 6.5 minutes or so, with that 13:10 on the row at 12 calories a minute, you're under 20 minutes. Something big like this, obviously you don't want to necessarily have to repeat if you don't have to, right? If you go into with a good game plan, but testing out maybe a round or two to see what your calories per minute look like. You could test that, see what your box jumps amount to. Because 34 is going to be fairly challenging to maintain. But if you go 2 seconds, right? If you go 2 seconds a rep on the 34, that's 68 seconds. And that's a minute 08. So maybe you test a set of 34, or you can go meet in the middle at 22, right? Can you do 22 box jumps in 44 seconds? That's going to be pretty challenging. And so you might be settling a little closer to that 3. But those are possible, and we're going to see that. To take a quick glance at what I'm talking about here, at the leaderboards already up and running, and what scores we do have. So let's look at men's intermediate. Now this is 1357. That is 290 lift, solid, but it's not at the top. 319 solid, but again not near the top. And then we got this 13. It could be a complete just mauled the rower kind of guy. But I don't know. Maybe there's something to that 1357 we don't know much about. I'm gonna look at this 15, the 16 when they start to kind of group up a little bit. That shows me a little more consistency in this workout. And we're seeing scores well under the 20 now. Of the not many 9 of this men's intermediate, a majority of them are under 20, right? And so obviously the average here is probably closer to like 17, 18. So I think the goal is definitely to get under that 20. And if you're somebody that is not a great box jumper or not a great rower, you might be just trying to wade through the storm here and program and plan your game plan to just get under that 20, right? Let's take a look at women's intermediate scores. Oops, they have 2 of them up there for some reason. And, I think right off the top, you think, ladies, typically the calories per hour are a little bit on average less, not in all cases. 456, throw that out. That's a miss. Somebody put something in wrong there. But you see somebody under 1951, and then the other 5 are over 20. So they're averaging over 20 right now in scores. And then it always takes me over to see what they did. 436 on 22.2. I mean, I think anything under 5 is very competitive, but probably not going to get you where you're looking to go to that next level. So solid 436, but I think there's some of those scores that were in those low 3s. The cardio is going to be there for this one, She also had a 151 lift, so not a huge number there as well. So I'm saying that 2258 at the top end there can be beat, and obviously we see that with some of the other scores. But we don't have a whole lot of other data to go off of. The top score, let's 2137, a little bit faster. And again, the lift is a little bit light at 165. Those are just some numbers to throw around, right? And a big workout like this, I think I build some confidence in, knowing that I have numbers to meet. However, if you do fall somewhat behind, don't throw your workout away. There's opportunity in this one. Whereas, the last 6, you could, if you plan this out and you save something in the tank, you can sprint through those last 6, both on the box and the rower, and throw those seconds complete, start building that average back down a little bit. And same thing with the 10 and even the 14. So you might be a little off pace early on with the big numbers, but when it starts to get to 18 and 14 and 10 and 6, you might be well ahead of the pace. Again, if we didn't come out too fast and we set a good tone. Predictions for this one this week. Sorry, on 22.3. I think the prediction here is, what is it going to take to be a top 10 is what I'm referencing to. And I think for the guys, I think it's going to be 16:05 or better. And I didn't show you. We'll go back and look at the women. Women don't even have a score in for this one. Of course, they're hiding it. And men, it's just got 2 scores, it looks like. And no, sorry, 3, but there's only 1 score under that 16:05. I think, but at the end of the day, to be a top 10 score, 16:05, and I'm also feeling a little like I cheated myself there. It's probably gonna be faster than that. Women, I think 18:25 or better will get you in the top 10, and that's through any one of these divisions, because the standards aren't any different, right? From RX Pro to intermediate scale. And you might see a specialist here that's a really good rower. The box does bring that back to the middle a little bit, right? You can be a long, tall, big athlete and put some power on a rower, but then that box has to be jumped with some consistency. I think at the end of the day, a bigger, taller athlete may have the advantage on this, obviously with the built cardio. And that's, I think, the athletes you might see with those numbers. Smaller athlete, yes, they're going to burn through some of those box jumps. But I think at the end, if those bigger athletes the stronger, bigger athletes can set a tone where they're pulling, 1,200 plus consistent, and for some reason that smaller athlete starts falling underneath that, it might add up at the end. Anyway, just an outtake as far as 22.3 goes. I hope this helps out a little bit. And the thing is, I'd love to hear from your side. If you've done it, what'd you get? If you've got some different predictions than me, I'd love to hear that as well. As always, you can check us out on YouTube, Comp Legends. We've got not only this video, of course, that you're watching, but we have 21.2 and we'll have 21.1 up as well. Our weekly challenges are on there. And if you don't go there, you can go to complegends.com and we have our weekly challenges. We've get you some all the links there to hit all the avenues, the podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you listen to podcasts as well. So check us out online, guys. Let us know, and if you like it, like and subscribe to the channel, and keep in touch. Until next week, now, what the next 3 workouts will be. Let's be legends, and good luck out there.